The news arrived quietly, but the impact was immediate. Demond Wilson had passed away, and with that announcement came a wave of sadness that stretched across generations. For many people, Demond Wilson was not just an actor remembered from old television reruns. He was a familiar face from living rooms, a voice tied to family evenings, and a presence that felt steady during a changing era of television. His final goodbye is now unfolding, and while many questions remain, what is clear is how deeply he was loved and respected. Demond Wilson died on January 30th, 2026, at the age of 79, at his home in Palm Springs, California. His death followed complications related to cancer, a battle he faced largely away from the public eye. The confirmation came from his son, Demond Wilson Jr., whose words carried both grief and pride. With that statement, fans around the world began reflecting not only on how Wilson died, but on how he lived, what he represented, and how he will be remembered. For millions, Demond Wilson will always be Lamont Sanford, the level-headed son balancing humor and responsibility on the iconic sitcom Sanford and Son. The show, which aired in the 1970s, became one of the most influential comedies of its time. While the sharp humor and memorable one-liners drew viewers in, it was Wilson's performance that gave the show emotional grounding. Lamont was patient, thoughtful, and often the moral center amid chaos. That balance made Wilson's portrayal unforgettable. But as the days pass following his death, attention has naturally turned toward his final farewell. Fans want to know how he will be honored, where he will be laid to rest, and whether the public will be able to participate in saying goodbye. As of now, no official public funeral or memorial service details have been released. The family has requested privacy during this deeply personal time, and major news outlets confirm that no date, location, or public schedule has been announced. This silence has not come from neglect or secrecy, but from intention. Those close to Demond Wilson have made it clear that this period is about reflection, prayer, and family. In many cases involving public figures, especially those who lived quieter lives later on, families choose to hold private services before considering any public memorial. That appears to be the case here as well. Still, the absence of formal funeral details has not stopped the outpouring of emotion. Tributes have continued to arrive from fans, fellow actors and television historians who recognize the role Wilson played in shaping American entertainment. Messages shared online often describe him as humble, disciplined, and deeply committed to his faith. Unlike many celebrities, Wilson stepped away from Hollywood at the height of his recognition and chose a different path, one focused on ministry, writing, and spiritual leadership. That decision, once surprising to fans, now feels central to his legacy. After Sanford and Son, Demond Wilson did not chase fame. Instead, he chose purpose. He became an ordained minister, authored several books, and dedicated his time to faith-based work. For years, he spoke about the importance of values, discipline, and inner peace. And those who followed him beyond television often say his post-Hollywood life was just as impactful as his acting career. As news of his death spread, many fans expressed a unique kind of grief. This was not the loud shock that sometimes follows sudden celebrity deaths. Instead, it was a quiet sadness mixed with gratitude. People remembered laughing with him, learning from his character, and growing up alongside his work. For older viewers, his passing felt like losing a piece of their youth. For younger audiences discovering Sanford and Son through reruns, it felt like saying goodbye to a timeless presence. In the absence of public funeral details, speculation has been carefully avoided by reputable outlets. There has been no confirmation of whether his service will be private or eventually open to the public, and no announcements about burial or memorial locations. What has been emphasized instead is respect. The family's request for privacy has been honored, and fans have largely responded with patience and understanding. This period before a funeral often carries its own emotional weight. It is a time when stories resurface, when people revisit old interviews, and when memories take on new meaning. For Demond Wilson, this time has highlighted the contrast between his public fame and his private humility. Despite starring in one of television's most successful sitcoms, he rarely sought attention in later years. He lived modestly, spoke thoughtfully, and avoided controversy. That quiet dignity is reflected in how his final goodbye is unfolding. There are no dramatic announcements, no media spectacles, and no rushed ceremonies. Instead, there is a pause, a moment of stillness, a chance for those who loved him to mourn without pressure. Tributes from fans continue to focus on gratitude rather than spectacle. Many share scenes from Sanford and Son, quoting Lamont Sanford's calm wisdom and subtle humor. Others recall interviews where Wilson spoke openly about faith and purpose. Some mention how refreshing it was to see a public figure step away from fame and find fulfillment elsewhere. As for the funeral itself, what is known is simple and honest. There is no confirmed public information yet. If a memorial service is announced later, whether private or public, it will likely reflect the values Wilson lived by: simplicity, respect, faith. Until then, the world waits, not with impatience, but with reverence. Demond Wilson's passing also invites reflection on the era he represented. Television in the 1970s was changing, becoming more honest, more diverse, and more reflective of real family dynamics. Sanford and Son played a major role in that shift, and Wilson's performance helped humanize stories that could have easily become caricatures. His work mattered, not just because it was funny, but because it was grounded in truth. In moments like this, final goodbyes are not defined solely by funerals or ceremonies. They are shaped by memory, by impact, by the lives touched along the way. Even without public funeral details, Demond Wilson is being honored in living rooms, online spaces, and personal reflections around the world. For now, the story remains one of remembrance rather than closure. The final chapter has begun, but it has not yet been formally written. When details about his funeral or memorial are released, they will likely be shared widely, allowing fans to participate in whatever way is appropriate. Until then, Demond Wilson's legacy stands on its own. A talented actor, a devoted father, a man of faith, a figure who chose depth over fame and meaning over applause. His final goodbye may be quiet, but the echo of his life is anything but. As updates become available regarding funeral arrangements or memorial plans, they will bring a new moment of reflection. For now, the world pauses, remembering a man who gave laughter, wisdom, and grace, and who now leaves behind a legacy that will continue long after the final farewell is spoken.